Senator Cory Gardner announced that he will vote against confirming Herman Cain for a spot in the Federal Reserve Board, joining 3 other GOP senators. Meanwhile, he also announced that he also voted for David Bernhardt to become the next Secretary of the Interior. Joey, this was, I think, a perfect week in watching the tightrope that Cory Gardner walks. I'm going to be against President Trump, who had not yet nominated Herman Cain, but said he was his top choice Federal Reserve Board. And joining those 3 other GOP senators essentially said, hey, it wasn't going to happen because they didn't have the votes to do it. In the meanwhile part, voting for David Bernhardt, who comes with his own, I guess, attached to baggage. Ryan Zinke, who he replaces, he was his deputy. Ryan Zinke did not have a clean record, I guess is the best way to put it. What do you make of the tightrope Cory Gardner is walking and his votes and non-votes?
I think it's a very tightrope because Cory, you know, he's the guy who called President Trump a buffoon a couple of years ago, and then he flip-flopped on the border wall, and he's come out and endorsed Trump way before he had to. It's a tough call. You know, they say in Colorado, people like Eric Sonderman tell me that you can't win with your base, and you can't win without it in this case. I think I said that backwards, without it, and it's hard to win with this Trump base in Colorado. I don't envy Cory. Now, on the Bernhardt thing, these guys have been friends for 20 years. Dave Bernhardt grew up in Rifle, and he saw what the boom and bust economy of the oil and gas industry can do to real people on the ground. And, you know, the people that are trying to tar and feather David Bernhardt, it's because he worked as representing the oil and gas industry. But those people aren't going to like anybody that Trump nominates for that position. They definitely didn't like Ryan Zinke, and Zinke was glad to help him out. So, you know, Bernhardt's a Coloradan. He'll be the 7th Coloradan to be the Secretary of Interior, and if my prediction holds true, John Hickenlooper will be the 8th.
Wow, bold predictions here, Joey. Well done. Eric, what do you think of both of them? You have 2 big votes and non-votes here to choose from, and the tightrope that Cory Gardner is walking. Take your pick.
It is a tightrope. I think it shows Cory Gardner to be a discerning guy. He doesn't always discern it the way I might discern it, but in this case, and I largely agree with Joey, David Bernhardt, it's a conservative administration. Election have consequences. And David Bernhardt is a representative of this administration. No one has questioned really his ethics, yes, by connection to Zinke. No one's certainly questioned his work ethic. He's a very hardworking guy. He's a diligent guy. And he is a conservative with a background in oil and gas. And there was no surprise that Cory Gardner was going to support him in those circumstances, and no surprise that the Republican Senate was going to confirm him. Herman Cain, on the other hand, I don't know if 5 people in this country who study economics at any level, much less a serious level, who take Herman Cain all that seriously. It was a joke when he was a presidential candidate. The notion of now that the qualification for serving on the board of the Federal Reserve is that you're a talking head on cable TV, which seems to be the new Trump qualification. I'm no slur on talking heads. A number of us, or all of us, I guess, fill that role. But I'm not sure that qualifies us to serve on the board of the Federal Reserve. But in this president's eyes, that's what he's looking for.
Chris, we hope we're not ruining or maybe we're actually helping promote a potential secretary appointment sometime soon. But what do you make of the decisions that Cory Gardner is announcing and the particular people attached? You have Bernhardt, you have Cain, and what Gardner's deciding.
Senator Gardner's in a difficult position. He's definitely a funambulist. He's up there on the wire. He's got to make choices that are tough. His base is tough. There are a lot of great people in the state that support him, but there's also this kind of hardcore faction of purists, Trump supporters that are difficult to please, to say the least. Bernhardt is a serious candidate for that position. He's got experience in oil and gas, and of course, you know, with multiple use doctrine, resource extraction is one of the things that we do with our public lands. We've got recreation and conservation, but we also have things like timber, grazing, and also oil and gas. It's very important for our economy. So I think he's a serious contender. Herman Cain, businessman. Also, the fact that he did serve on the Kansas City Federal Fed Board, which gives him some experience, but I don't think he's a serious contender. The way that Senator Gardner made a choice on this, supporting somebody who was serious and choosing an opportunity to show that he is an independent senator, even though he is a Republican, gives him that opportunity to say no to Cain. I think it's smart.
Patty, what do you think? I mean, David Bernhardt, as Joey put it, the 7th Coloradan to become Secretary of the Interior.
Well, I'm looking forward to Eric as head of the Federal Reserve, and that won't be controversial at all when that happens. I've said this before about Cory Gardner. Sometimes you think he actually is making decisions from a personal vantage point, not a political one. I mean, the Herman Cain one is pretty easy call. No matter where you are politically, no matter where your base is this the best we can do? David Bernhardt, too, is another one where you feel it's much more personal because they have been friends, they have been colleagues. I don't think he is going to heap a lot of glory on this state. Let's just hope he's not digging it up at the same time. We survived James Watt. We survived Gail Norton. We can probably survive David Bernhardt, even though he has conflicts galore. And it's not just having worked for Zinke. He worked for Brownstein Hyatt. He has all these oil and gas clients. So people will be watching closely to see if decisions are benefiting former clients.